Welcome back to Rift Rivals, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Atlas, now taking over the hosting position here on the desk, and I'm joined by Pup Smithy, who I was just casting with. It's fantastic because we just walked over from a small room, so it's absolutely fine. It was easy to get to. Don't think that it was ridiculous. But joined by Zach Rusty Pie and Raz Barento. Barento Raz Muhammad. I thought the Raz was your first name. That's fantastic.
Any one of them could be my username.
It's so synonymous.
You're a great host,
brilliant.
Atlas. A fantastic
I know,
host.
I know. Obviously, I've had enough of a break to get myself settled into it, Pup Smithy. So thank you very much for that one. But we are going to be welcoming WE to the stage here for the first time. Of course, seen Flash Wolves already. They're going to be their opponents. Lost to SKT, unfortunately. But WE really feels like almost the last hope as far as a clean run through for the LPL.
Yeah, the kings of the LPL now coming in. It feels like a real relay. The fact that they've been passed the baton, really tied up between LMS 2-for-2. So right now it's going to be on WE having to take up Flash Wolves and SKT. Very tough sets. If they can do that, then it would be, it'd be solidified.
And it does feel like they're kind of coming from the past, though. They are coming from that spot where they have to earn LPL. They kind of have the fate of the LPL in their own hands. As they come in, 2-4 now, I believe, the LPL. LMS have more games to play. They're kind of looking for WE to bail them out of being third after the group stage.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do. Rusty, what are you expecting from WE moving into this one? Which role are you actually looking to focus on as far as getting them ahead?
It's a hard thing to say which role, with WE in particular, you look towards to get them ahead. Usually the jungle role is your natural answer there. It's Condi. Condi will just get them going in the early game, or they'll do nothing for 25 minutes. And that's the hard thing to crack when you watch Team WE play on Summoner's Rift. Are they going to be aggressive against an LMS team, or are they going to match the prolonged laning phase that the LMS teams have and just slow the pace of the game down? They're so comfortable doing that. And compared to the game we saw last, which was J-Team EDG, WE are a prolific Cogmore team. They will be able to play around that composition just a little bit better.
And speaking of compositions as well, we saw actually coming out of J-Team the first time that we've seen Caitlyn here at this tournament. And across these regions, there are different pick rates, different ban rates. And Pup Smithy, the Caitlyn we know isn't often seen on Summoner's Rift because she's almost permabanned more than the likes of things like Zac, things like the Elise as well over in the LCK. But that was utilized so effectively. Are you expecting the same sort of focus here?
You have to feel like, after seeing that, as a team coming in and not banning Caitlyn would be some sort of crazy gambit. I don't think it's not a necessary thing to leave open. I just want to see the Flash Wolves draft again and play again because they didn't get to play much League of Legends against SK Telecom T1. They tried some things and SKT kind of just blew them away. So we're getting almost a re-debut of Flash Wolves. You only get 2 games in the group stage, but I feel like we really haven't got an idea of Flash Wolves because if you're a fan of Flash Wolves in the summer, you had to deal with the roster being disconnected, so you didn't get to see the 5 that you expected. Then you see them on the international stage, and they get slammed. So I feel like our expectations for Flash Wolves, just like our expectations having not seen WE yet, are really up in the air.
Yeah, we have to reset. I think the players have to reset. They think that like a lot of the problems that they had in their game were just a lot of problems in communication, so that's not really surprising. It's to be expected with how often they played.
Yeah, it certainly is. So this is going to be a difficult one for both of these teams, and this game is going to be so important. Of course, both regions, the LMS and the LPL, face off against LCK after this, and this could very well decide who we are going to be seeing through to that top seed going into Saturday, which can be very important, making sure that you get that correct selection coming out first. And this is going to be a massive test as well, because if WE can take down Flash Wolves in a considerable fashion, going into SKT, they've done it before. They've been able to take down this team. It's not like it's just the Flash Wolves that are able to find victory here in this matchup. WE can look a whole lot better moving in, and we know that they've been able to perform internationally multiple times with this roster.
Yeah, it's important that this match is testing the waters for WE. If they show up blazing, as you mentioned, then they can come into the SKT with their heads held high. They've done everything they can for their region to try and get that second place finish. Of course, they'll still probably be playing against the LMS region. It's more about which seedings they get in side selection. But ultimately, I think you're right, Pride dictates a lot of these matchups because they are first seeds going head-to-head.
Yeah, and we're looking down the board there as well. I mean, I was pretty vocal about the fact that Betty was looking fantastic for Flash Wolves. As far as in the LMS region, this guy has top stats in almost every position. The guy looks great, but he's now up against Mystic. And I've been singing Mystic's praises for years when I was casting the LPL. Nothing has changed, checking in on him as well since I moved away. This guy is an absolute beast. Slightly different support, though. And are we going to be missing Ben on the side of WE?
Yeah. we're going to be missing Ben quite a bit. He has been working with Zero. So that's the first thing we have to obviously mention. Zero's playing. It's not going to be Ben, who is the starter for Team WE. And it does hurt them, honestly. The champion pools may be the question of how much practice has Zero had. We know he'll fit into the team. He's a part of the sleepy Korean duo lane. And so he's going to be working with Mystic. That part will be seamless. But is he practiced? We saw him at MSI, surprisingly.
In kind of a similar scenario, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he still looked good there. So there's the question to raise of will it still be the same strength?
Yeah, same strength in terms of synergy. And also, what kind of WE are we going to see? Are we going to see the Kog'Maws you related to earlier? Are we going to see the late game scaling composition? Or are we going to see an early game scaling point with like the Ashe pick? I think right now, if you want to focus on Mystic, he should be the one setting engages with the Ashe pick. I thought he played incredibly well with that pick.
And I thought WE read the meta really well at MSI because, of course, we came in practice saying, okay, Elder Dragon team, 35-minute team, and they weren't. They were playing the Ashe. They were reading the meta smartly. They've kind of been in that spot where they could sit back and say, okay, I've seen a lot of games of League of Legends played already. They see 8 games before they play their first game. If they have a read on this meta, you can look at any of the Rift Rivals tournaments, it's the same story. Lane priority, lane kingdom, people come up with different ways to describe it. I think they just go back to the Ashe plan. It looked so polished. Can they get exactly the same comp we saw from J-Team and roll over? That's probably going to be banned. But getting something that apes that takes the best parts of that, maybe even return to a supportive pushing mid. Will they go for Corki priority? There's lots of what-ifs here for WE, but I think the blueprint was set in the previous game of what the meta should look like.
Yeah, and also, like, the meta is dictated a lot by vision as well at this particular stage of the tournament. We've been seeing so much more of the Rek'Sai. The Tremor Sense is such an important ability for getting around, especially if you're in the enemy's top side or bottom side jungle and trying to cut off that vision in the crossways. Rek'Sai has been so important. Condi's been an incredible Rek'Sai player almost forever. Yeah. Now that we're seeing her come back, the King of Baron might be taking things over. The first game that we saw this guy in, it was like a quadra kill underneath the turret. Yeah. Pentakill underneath the turret on the bottom side of the map. The guy was an absolute beast. And yes, that was definitely a specific situation. But if you want to debut, that's the champion that he picked up, and he picked up a Pentakill.
You got to be careful though, Atlas, because Rek'Sai's getting fed in this tournament have not been working out recently.
Hey, no. We've only seen an early 4 kills. Early 5
That's
kills.
True. That could be the number. Just like you can't beat MVP 15 times. You can't beat a Rek'Sai with an early Penta.
I think you probably can. I mean, I feel like putting my money on a very, very small bet has been something that I've done. Paid off for me in that Marchi series against OMG. I was ready to believe. Rusty, you was right. You were right there. And I'm not even going to let these guys respond. We're just going to throw it over to Pulse, and Frosker takes into the game.
That's right. It's our turn to talk right now. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, for that one. My name is Richard Polscam. I'm alongside Indiana, Frosker, and Black to deliver you this one. The Final Fantasy duo back together on the international stage.
Yeah, the zipper cast, if you will. Although I feel like our hair game's toned down a little bit. I think the weight of the LPL is just dragging me down.
That's what it feels like right now. There's only a couple of chances for us left. It's going to start here as well, but it's an upward ride for sure.
Yeah, so basically it goes like this. Whoever wins here will need an assist from Korea, but I feel like the kill shot has really been lined up for the LMS, and what better team to give the ball to than the Flash Wolves?
And all that's left is to take the shot, right, Frosk? And as we head into Champion Select, we'll see who's able to make it in this one. Feel like we are in a battle of the archers here as you have the slow teams, Flash Wolves and Team WE going head-to-head. We've got the bands coming through. Tam Kench, LeBlanc, followed by Galio and Caitlyn from Team WE.
And that's the big concern for me looking across on the Flash Wolves as an LPL representative is that what iteration of Team WE are we going to get? Are we going to get the Warriors, the Brutes, the guys who come flying out in the early game, making plays with the Lucian mid, making plays with Condi the jungle? Or are we going to get those patient archers where they sit back, they play the double scaling compositions, and they try to line up the shot? Because against the Flash Wolves, I don't think you give them any space or any time.
Yeah, because once they like lining up themselves, they will be able to take that one to you. Final bans were Cassidy and Zach coming out there, so classic bans coming in at the end. However, first pick of the Elise over to Karsa.
Yeah, and already the Flash was setting the tempo and the pace there with a very aggressive, very fast-paced jungler. And in the hands of Karsa, that's just a definite threat.
100%. And Condi and Karsa, two massive representatives for their team. Of course, they were in the teaser coming in as well, so excited to see what they'll be bringing here in this match as they face each other down. Corki was the first pick for Team WE. We are now waiting on the next one from WE, and it will be Gragas over for Condi. Could be top lane as well as a flex.
We have seen the top lane Gragas fall out of 7-12 just because of the changes to the triple Doran's build, so more likely than not, it will go into Condi's hands. We'll keep our eye on it. I am very excited to see Shie get his hands on Corki. He is one of the original Corki mid talented players from the LPL. And personally, I think Corki is must-pick, must-ban. The amount of power spikes this guy gets, the amount of crit damage he's outputting, I just think he's absurd.
On the opposite side, you still have a massive priority pick of the Kalista coming in for Betty. Alongside him will be Sword Art with the Thresh pick coming through. So not a bad bottom lane by any means. The Shadow Hours bottom lane coming in here.
And it's actually a great pickup for Betty in particular. You know, frankly, as you go down these lineups, it's Maple Carso versus Condi Xie. Everything looks even there. But when you start to widen the scope, when you look at the likes of the Bettys versus Mystic, that's when it slightly tilts for Team WE for me. But Betty in particular and Kalista, I think he's underrated. I don't think enough people are paying attention to how far he can go off on that champion in particular.
The other half of that, because Kalista's been often paired with Rakan, who gets picked up for Zero in the bottom lane of Zero. This is the first time I've seen him in a good couple of weeks. Of course, Ben was the starter, and it will be Zero coming in for this remainder of the tournament here, while they will look to ban Renekton away from MMD as well.
Yeah, so starting to shrink that top lane champion pool. If the Gragas goes up there, make sure that he does get a good matchup. But again, I have a suspicion it's Condi's champion.
You have to feel that is the case. As it goes back over to the Flash Wolves now for their first ban of the second phase. And they will aim it right at the AD carry port towards Mystic Varus ban.
So Mystic, a bit notorious for, I guess, a smaller AD carry champion pool. He still has viable options like the Twitch, like the Ashe. I suspect that the Ashe will be the other pinching point for Flash Wolves here, but we'll see if maybe they throw something else at the top lane.
We'll have to see it. Back over to WE, and it will be a Rumble ban, as you said. Top lane ban towards MMD. And back over to Flash Wolves for the final ban of our champion select.
And again, like I said on the analyst desk just a few moments ago, I feel like when you ban the Rumble, you are trying to make room for a Kog'Maw in terms of the LPL meta. Kog'Maw likes to sit in that back, he likes to output and maximize his damage, and it's really hard for him to do that if you have an equalizer that can reach back there without any threat of trying to put yourself in a risky overreach situation.
As you were just saying, Frost, smaller champion pool for Mystic, so Flash Wolves, that is the pain point they're trying to target with their final ban in the form of Ashe. So now over to Mystic and Zero to lock in the final two picks for themselves. And this is not what I would necessarily classify as a Mystic pick, but it has been one that's been resurging again in the LPL, and it's alongside her lover, Rakan.
Yeah, and it's certainly been popping up a lot during the course of this tournament. Now, there are a couple of cool interactions. We'll cover them in game when it comes to Xayah and Rakan. But I feel like it's kind of the same identity as the Kog'Maw. You know, it's a low mobility, hyper-scaling AD carry, and so far Team WE, I said, what kind of iteration are we going to get out? And it's the two scaling compositions.
Oh, the crowd liked that one. Fiora coming in there for MMD into the top lane. Final pick will be Talia for Maple, staring down Xie in the mid lane on Corki.
And Flash Wolves' composition, now that we see it, I love it. It's got everything that you want. You have early game pressure from Karsa, you have huge mid game spikes from Talia and Kalista, and then the hyper scaling from Fiora. I feel like they have a great mix and balance to attack every portion of this game.
And now we're just waiting on that final pick from Team WE, and Jarvan was left open. There's no Renekton, so let's lock that one into the top lane there for 957. And 957 has been slowly ramping up. I didn't think much from him back in spring, but when you got to those playoffs, when you got to the finals, boy did he turn on. Onto that Jarvan, we'll see if he can make it happen against MMD's Fiora.
And he's going to have to turn on. Again, back to the wall. The LPL is looking to their dominant team right now to lead them to victory. Jarvan is the signature LPL champion. Since the very beginning, 2013, he has been their go-to. It's just how they craft and split terrain with that ultimate. So we'll see if 957 carries the mantle of the other Chinese gods before him and is able to take this one.
That's the hope. And now we have the full rosters, we have the full compositions coming in here for us. So who are you preferring? Who would you put your money on?
Again, I think Flash Wolves nailed this draft. I feel like they have so many different power options at every point in this game. Team WE, the big thing for me is that they did get that Corki, but I don't have enough footage of Mystic on Xayah, and I don't have enough footage of Zero. Yeah, he came in at MSI, he did help Team WE take down SKT in a best of one, but I don't know if he's going to be at full capacity for this match.
There's just so many questions in for Team WE, whereas we look across at the Flash Wolves, and yes, yesterday did get blasted by SKT, but who doesn't nowadays? And he didn't get to play a lot of League of Legends, as Papa was saying, so hopefully in this one we get to see more of what they have. Again, over to Team WE, they have two phases. It's like, did we get Condi fed in the early game? If yes, let's go hard, let's go ham, or go home. Otherwise, they'll take it slow, go to around 35 minutes. We call them the Elder Dragon team. If they get there, then they'll come at you. They'll have this perfectly executed team fight, and then they'll take the game. So we'll have to see which form is going to hit us today.
Frankly, I feel like it's going to be the later path there because Condi is on a champion like Gragas. Not that Gragas can't make use of, early level 3 ganks, but that's typically not in his wheelhouse. He's there to be a facilitator for his lanes and for the rest of his 5v5 comp.
Well, there's a lot on the line for these two teams here for Oscura, and Flash Wolves up against Team WE, LPL against the LMS. We'll see which team can take it home.
And it is do or die as these teams are fighting for superior seeding in the blind semi-final tomorrow. And already we've got a lot of action. It's not where you want to be.
It's a bit of action. I'll change the lot there to a little bit there from Betty as he jumps in there, gets a couple spears down onto Zero, backs off. And just checking some brushes, it's mostly going to be shallow vision here from both teams. Take a look at the keystones, mostly normal. We're back to the Warlords here, the Wonderlords I was going to call it. Well, feels like that.
Something that might be not super unusual, but the fact that Callista did go for Warlords versus Fervor of Battle. Normally you see the Fervor of Battle just because Callista will itemize lifesteal relatively early on in her build, likes to go through that Blade of the Rune King path, and so she wants a bit more of that meaty all-in damage, especially when you have a Thresh and an Ignite. So we'll check on Betty's build. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty standard, but giving a lot of respect to Mystic and Zero.
You'd have to feel so, as the first dragon of the game will be Infernal, so maybe we get some early game skirmishes with that Callista coming in here. Currently starting off in his Raptors, getting a lot of assistance from 957. We're going back to the top lane, but again, MMD is going to do the same on his side of the map here for Karsa. So both top laners will be meeting each other at relatively the same time.
And all eyes really need to be on Karsa. I like the fact that he is actually starting a buff, and I feel like looks like he's probably going to go for a full clear, but it's so important about this tempo advantage that junglers are getting, making sure that they get strong leashes, that they get off on the right foot, and they keep the experience lead. Because when it comes to contesting objectives like the Infernal or these 1v1 skirmishes, that slight EXP lead can mean all the difference.
I'm pretty much just waiting to see where the jungler's path from here on out, see if there's any XP quints as well. We saw some shenanigans earlier on today, Frost.
I think their pathing is indicative of that we're not going to see any shenanigans. Yeah, since he took the wolves instead of just going from Raptor, buff, scuttle, bot.
Yeah, exactly. Sordot's going to get some information here as well, as you will see Conley taking his blue. Maybe he'll be a bit annoying as well, Gepper in his grill.
Got Karsa in tow. They're looking to contest this.
It looks like it's almost resetting here as Zero's come up, Betty's come up. It's actually a party in the jungle here for Condi. He has to straight up back away. He's separated from his support. Karsa turns the corner. And this will just be Blue Wolf going over to the Flash Wolves.
Yep, Flash Wolves strike first. Big deal across from the Gragas. And again, that EXP advantage. Karsa now level 3 and Condi losing a lot of time as he has to re-navigate across the jungle to get back into the rhythm of things. A lot of this was opened up by the one guy who didn't show up for Flash Wolves, which is Maple. Making sure that he had that superior push as the Talia and creating space for Karsa.
Already, Flash Wolf starting on the right foot. Karsa is still sticking around the jungle area. It seems like he's placing down wards and actually taking the crab right now before he goes back to his own jungle. And overall, that's going to be triple buffs towards Karsa to start this one off. Connie at least did get his red buff, but has just slowed him down considerably. Taking a look at the bot lane as well. Zero and Mystic. Cool questions for those two players, since we haven't seen Zero just forever, honestly, since MSI. Just resurges for these international events, apparently.
Yeah, they pull out the big guns there in the sleepy Korean bot lane. They, of course, got the nickname because they used to be late to scrims all the time.
Yeah, but he's on time for this one, luckily. And Karsa, yeah, just getting to reap the rewards, pretty much, of his initial play with help from his bottom lane.
So I feel like what's going to be telegraphed early on in this game for Flash Wolves is, again, we talk about how their composition, they got the least jungle so they can make plays early. They have the Talia and the Callista. They're going to spike really hard in the mid game. So it should be a slow-paced game until we start getting those ultimates. The Fate's Call, the Talia wall, and then I feel like there's just a giant target that's drawn around this bot lane. Now Condi, Mystic, Zero, everyone's aware of this. So it's about how they can time the package to try to protect that bottom lane.
As a hook lands in the bottom lane, but Zero's actually just going to swap it up, and he's all over the place actually right now as Mystic turns back towards the damage on Betty. That'll pretty much just be that trade in the bottom lane that, as farming will continue. I do share the sentiment you shared at the start of the game, Frosky. It will be a slower game, but when it gets to that point, the big question is just like WE or Flash Wolves, who has the better execution? And for the most part, domestically, WE, when they get to that late game, when they're allowed to get to that 35, 40-minute mark, they just have the perfect team fight. No one can contend with them. Very messy region. A lot of teams just like to go for those fights. But against Flash Wolves, they are that quintessential team where they'll do a very similar game plan.
I mean, Faker paid Flash Wolves massive compliments after SKT absolutely throttled them yesterday, and that he felt that Flash Wolves, it felt like playing across from a Korean team. But As we say that, here comes Condi.
Yeah, engaging the bottom lane and Zero Mystic. I think Betty probably knows what's up right now as Condi turns the corner looking for this kill. He's getting chased down, hopping all over the place. Mystic very low, trying to get that kill, and it will be confirmed there by Sword Art. Got a caster minions chiming in as well as the 6th member. And Betty goes down, but it's ultimately 80 carries traded.
And we knew it was going to be about the bottom lane, but this time around, Team WE pulled the trigger first. That said, a little bit sloppy. You could see that Condi trying to rotate into the lane, so Mystic and Zero just pulling the trigger a couple of seconds too early and trading 1-for-1. Good thing, though, is that the kill went to the 80 carry for Team WE, while Sword Art picked up the kill for Flash Wolves.
In the top lane, Grand Challenge has been issued there onto 957, but he simply walks away. Doesn't really want to take the Grand Challenge right now. Did have the item advantage, but regardless, in the bottom lane, Casa pops out of the bush, gets the damage down onto Zero, but that's not going to be the damage right now. Luckily, Sword Art was in place with the Dark Passage. Had to interrupt his recall for that one, so he's feeling a little bit salty towards Casa, but he will go probably back right now, though. Looks like he is staying.
And he is actually going to walk through a lot of vision. Condi is not leaving this bottom lane. The wave has been frozen by Flash Wolves, and so he's actually just trying to help his team break this or offer them some coverage while they break this.
Well, Betty going to get knocked up right here, and Connie is on his way. The rook comes down. Play call is huge. That's going to be a double kill to WE.
Here comes the teleport.
MMD wants something from this one, but yes, no ultimate, and the teleport will be cancelled there from 957. He's not Needle. Maybe is he? Casa coming into the bottom lane. Maple in tow as well. Flash. Cocoon lands onto the Gragas. Mystic dropping low. Pops the Feather Storm. Should be home and safe. And somehow, WE evacuates safely and get the kill.
Oh, and Mystic only level 5, so I don't know, he just barely scrapes over the line there. We said that this was going to be about the bottom lane, but I expected it maybe another minute, 2 minutes. Both these teams know exactly where to strike.
Oh man, so MMD does go back to base, pick some items now, but he's lost so much farm now to 957. He's just been chilling top lane.
Yeah, and we also have a massive item difference between Betty and Mystic right now. So Mystic has the flat AD of the BF sword. He's going to feel really good in those all-in engagements, whereas Betty has just the sustain. So definitely wants to try to cheat in another early back to meet Zaya on even footing.
Yeah, we're going to see that one more time.
Yeah, I thought this was just going to be, you know, Condi protecting his lane as they walk it in, but just the burst damage and the CC potential of Zaya showcasing why she has been a contested pick this tournament.
And they wanted to try and get the pincer movement down. Fiora moves up and it's like, yeah, nah, maybe not. And Maple comes down. The flash and the cocoon looked good, but simply protection was too damn good from Zero and Condi. Couldn't quite get to the squishy Zaya, and ultimately that was just the one kill over to WE.
Yeah, and things will have to calm down a little bit. Now, there should be a package window opening up for Xie here. We'll see if he's able to abuse that before Maple gets his Talia wall back up and available. Although I think he's probably going to be timed out just even for them.
Yeah, you'd have to feel so. However, I would like to draw attention to the fact that Connie is 1-0-1. Also, that there is maybe a contest going on. He's backing away. But you have these two modes of WE. They go late game, or Connie just goes off and kills everybody. So there's a chance for that to happen in this game.
What kills me, though, is that Condi's doing it on a champion like Gragas. And yes, globally, the LPL has been given a lot of respect to the Gragas jungle. It's usually been cropping up as kind of a soft answer to Rek'Sai's engagement, not necessarily going toe-to-toe with the champion, but trying to interrupt or separate a lot of what she sets up for teams. But normally, we expect Condi to lead the charge on things like the Lee Sin, like the Rengar.
The only reason I raised the point is because A, that's how WE play, and also B, he is going for the Runic Echoes, so he is trying to do more damage in this game, so...
I'm not ready to jump aboard the Team WE train.
Hey, look, I'm just announcing that the train's there, okay? You know, I'm not on it either, I'm just saying,
to
so
me,
you're aware.
I just feel like the LPL has hit me with the train this tournament.
Yeah, okay, I feel that one. There's Hook lands in the bottom lane, though. I don't think it's going to turn into anything right now. It's not an engage. Sword Art particularly wants to take at this point in time.
And we can't talk about how this 2v2 will really function here. So now that Betty and Sword Art, they have the level 6, there's the
Feather Storm comes in very early. Casa coming in from the top side. Teleports quite late from WE. They're already going to lose their Zaya. Zero now on the retreat. Xie, it's actually a double teleport as everyone's dogpiling into the bottom lane. In comes 957. The Flay comes back. Sword Art comes down as the dunk comes out from 957. So it is a 1-for-1 trade overall.
Yeah, and making use of that teleport discrepancy there to at least go even in that bottom trade. Karsa, of course, getting the first punch, so looks good still for Flash Wolves. But I was just about to explain how that will interact, the fact that they'll look for the Fates call, and it's just about how Mystic is going to use the Feather Storm to dodge that out. But when the Elise is there to follow up on the CC, kind of a moot point.
Yeah, definitely going to just kind of click all the buttons there and hope for the best. But yeah, we can see that one more time as the hook lands and the perfect engage following. That's actually the next engage.
Yeah, and the fact that Zero wasn't able to create a lot of space for Mystic there. They just hold up, wait, look for the second engage, like you said. Karsa on the top side. Lanterns him in, sets him up.
Yeah, pretty simple, honestly, and there's not a lot to say about it. It was a well-performed gank. Zero flashes away, has to burn the summoner, and then all of W is like, what did you say about my bottom laner? That's how we feel about it.
But you have to think, if you have an opportunity like that, give the kill over to the Corki, to Xie there. 957 is the one who walks away with it.
Yeah, in the end. Now, Xie does have the package. Doesn't have the teleport, did burn that on the bottom lane.
And this is the window that I was talking about earlier. You know, the Talia wall is available. We knew that CA was going to have the package soon. And would there be a moment where these two global positioners would line up? And it looks like Flash Wolves are just going to do a great job absorbing the timer on that.
Not only that, Karsa's also trying to make something happen in the top lane. Notice that MMD is a good ways behind the Java. And also, Cataclysm will be coming up shortly. So again, there's a small window for him to creep into.
Hide behind the creeps.
I think Karsa's maybe just going to back away from this one. 957 is playing way too far back. Yeah.
He knew something was up.
So it's all good for now. And that has just culminated in the round. 1 to 2 waves advantage for 957. It's nothing to write home about, but is something nice for him to take to the bank.
And Team WE are feeling a bit more confident now, pushing in their vision line, suspecting again that Karsa was on the top side of the map, so feeling confident at least in the numbers advantage down here.
At the same time, if the Dragon fight does kick off, MMD has his teleport while 957 does not.
Which just means
all the vision has gone over to WE for us.
That Team WE either need to set this up perfectly, like you said, denying all the vision, making sure that they have every wave pushed down and can keep Flash Wolves locked out of this, or they wait.
Or they also just kill Karsa and they get their cake and they eat it too.
And that was given away by great vision again. This setup from Team W, making sure that they have the entire back of the Dragon Pit lit up. And this isn't something we normally get to compliment for the LPL teams.
Fantastic. But it's something that we often see from Team WE. I got a
the
word
response
missed as Maple comes into the top lane. This is going to be, well, it needs to be well executed. 957 is quite tanky. Comes in with the Cataclysm. That has been riposted out as well, and that will be the kill. But he's locked in the Cataclysm. Managed to jump away with the final lunge. And Maple is there to hit the turret as well. So it was well executed. That being said, here comes Xie into the top lane.
Yeah, he's just here. I mean, if he picks up the kill on MMD, that'd be nice, but it's more so to dissuade the Flash Wolves from pushing for that tower. Meanwhile, bot.
Exactly. Hook goes wide, or actually goes through the goalpost. So in the end, WE will just back away, return some Pokeball back to relative normality. Though I feel like we've lied to the audience just a little bit. You know, it's not what was on the tin as we came into this one, because it's 8 kills right now and it's 13 minutes into the game.
I mean, these are my favorite type of games, so I would love to see this one pedal to the metal continue to be this fast-paced. You know, every single opening, every single ultimate that is available to both teams, they're immediately trying to set up plays around it.
As it turns out, most of those plays turn into kills as well, as Zero turns the corner, takes away the blast cone, and Karsa's also there as well. So he's looking to recall as blue buff is spawned, and you know that Karsa's probably going to contest that as he has the last 2. Hondi, where is he at right now? He's on top side, taking Progs going back to base. But simply right now, Flash Wolves have been so starved of vision in that river. Very hard for them to head towards that blue buff safely if they want that invade. So I think we're just going to go back to laning for maybe a few minutes.
And this is a very, you know, patient point of the game. Everyone's really in between their big items. It looks like Team WE feel confident to look for that delayed lane swap towards the top side, trying to catch Flash Wolves out of position. You can already see that Betty and Sword Art have responded to the bottom side. So this will turn into a tower race. It's now, will Team WE also get the kill?
They're investing a lot of resources up there. MMD, well, if they could get this kill, it would make it a lot easier for WE. The charm, the quickness, the W, the combo from Zero. Though does it actually turn into the kill, because Karsa coming around the sidelines, a perfect cocoon down onto Mystic. And 957, he's gone very, very deep. And Maple's here to return with this. One Cataclysm comes down, buys a bit of distance. Repel comes up, goes back down. Connie over the wall, in with the flash, very aggressive once more. But with the cask on top of that, that will be a kill confirmed there for Xie.
And it's just a difference about how they commit these resources. Everyone from Team WE piles in on the top lane. That said, bottom side, it will be first brick over to Betty and Sword Art. So not a total loss for Flash Wolves.
Flashwolves getting the first tower is good for them. Of course, it will be a trade overall for WE, and they are waiting in the bush just in case someone happens to go by, but in the end, it will be this tower.
Flashwolves are feeling actually confident to approach this one safely. They've got Maple in the back pocket, and they are going to force Team WE off of this.
Wow, lack of minions means that Flashwolves just get the even better trade, a complete net win for them, only losing that one kill. Tower in the bottom side, first tower at that, and don't even lose top. Maybe WE get this on the next push, but they're sending a lot of resources back home.
And this looks like almost the wrong turn from MMD, but he expertly just sidesteps, get out of this, and Team WE, they kind of overreach. Yes, eventually Condi will get involved on the back half of it and pick up a kill. I believe it lands in Corky's pocket, so not terrible for Team WE, but could have been played a lot cleaner here.
At the same time, Mystic spent like a good half of that fight stunned. Gets stunned by the riposte, turns a corner, eats a cocoon. It's like, well, this is fun. I don't get to participate.
Catch.
Completely destroyed. And that's that one kill over to Xie, but again, it's that bottom side. The tower goes down, so Flashwolves net game over towards them. That being said, WE still the advantage in terms of gold, though they are going for Rift Herald. But interrupted.
This is why I like Team WE trying to reach for the Rift Herald, because what does it mean to have the Callista unlocked? Naturally, you have so much more engage potential because you're unlocking something like the Fate's Call versus the Feather Dance, but it gives Flashwolves the immediate advantage over something like the Rift Herald. Callista's ability to secure those objectives, which is why you see Team WE like, okay, Callista's on the map, they can definitely take this easy, let's throw everything at the kitchen sink just to deny this.
Also would allow them to catch up on tempo just a little bit. Maybe they can crack the mid tower, a bigger prize than the bottom one or the top one for sure.
It's trying to abuse that power spike and that power window of the package. Here we go.
So the ultimate coming in. It's going to be the full-blown fight as Zero comes in for the initiation, but down goes Xie immediately. Condi and Mystic doing their best in the backside, but Benny, this is the skirmish he was living for. Jumps over the wall, but that's the blast cone. Jumps away from that one, but Condi moving into the top side. He's out of mana, he's been hooked, and that is a death sentence for the Gragas.
But this is the confidence of Betty that I was talking about. You know, when you think of the Flashwolves, everyone's going to talk about Karsa, everyone's going to talk about Maple, but no one is giving their new AD carry, it's hard to call him new at this point, the respect that he deserves. And it's that confidence on Klisha, going over the wall, knowing that he has the kill, and leading the charge.
He's always at the back of the people's minds, but he's coming to the forefront now as we look for another engage in the mid lane, and you can always rely on Sword Art to line up the shot.
And from bad to worse for Team WE, they tried to overreach, they tried to stall out the game, change the tempo, take the Rift Herald. They got the Rift Herald, but they lose the entire map in return.
Flashwolves pushing the top side. The only side that is currently left open is the bottom, as 957 is pushing that in. So hopefully, maybe he can get some damage. I doubt he's going to pick up the full tower itself. So let's go back to the very start of that craziness.
And again, all eyes for me are really on Betty, but it is Betty, but it is a very nice intro from Flashwolves. Great box also in setup from Sword Art. That's what we expect from him. But immediately, the Fate's Call into the background forces Mystic to use his ultimate defensively. Mystic does make his great escape on the blast cone, but Betty just turns around. It's like, okay, this will do.
We'll take this kill instead. And they go back to base, quite happy with that one. So in the end, WE do manage to pick up the Rift Herald, so it's not a complete loss for WE, but that did swing the goal totals. From before, WE had a very firm advantage, has gone over to Flashwolves with yet another tower. Bottom lane did indeed not go over to 957.
And the only saving grace for Team WE at this point is that this is where Flashwolves were going to be able to sucker punch them in terms of where these compositions line up. We knew that Flashwolves were going to be strong in the mid game, so now there's this big open window where Flashwolves can continue to build up on this lead, to use the power that they have, and to look for the kill shot across from Team WE. As it goes later, as they start to ramp up, the ball can go back into their court when they have the late game scaling of Corky, when they have the Xayah online.
Well,
that was a good try.
Displaced. Yeah, unfortunately, Harold, he'll go through that one, doesn't really care too much. Oh, Sword Art, actually you stopped that one, so Tao still alive.
Golf clap, excellently done.
Good stuff. Zero, just moving through the river, and it's again looking for this dragon. Hopefully mid tower doesn't go down, but she is rotated. 957's there as well, so we're all safe on the mid lane front. This should be another dragon going over Team WE now. 957 spots on this ward.
And this dragon is really opened up by using the Rift Herald. It pulled Flashwolves' resources to the mid lane, and it does give them inside track. So Team WE just trying to scrape away breadcrumbs where they can. Although I think that they're going to be punished by having Mystic bottom, so maybe overreaching or spreading themselves too thin.
We'll see. Xie, it's pretty much his job to get this middle tower.
But you never want to trade inner for bottom outer, which is why Mystic's continuing to push.
Here comes the collapse. It's going to be harder to dive this one as he dodges all of the CC, comes down to Cataclysm and the repel up, down, and gets out over to the left.
And what was looking so clean from Flash Wolves is now on the other foot. I think they saw that Team W were on the Dragon. They couldn't quite decide, are we going for the mid lane, are we going for the top lane? And because they don't all commit as one team, they leave the two structures standing but just chipped away.
And with that, WE again take the gold advantage, so very back and forth in this game. This early game and mid game has been action-packed. Mystic was carrying on pushing the bottom lane, took it down to around half. Will now go back to base. I'm sure he's got a lot of gold to spend.
I can't quite tell if we're playing chess or playing checkers.
Maybe both at the same time.
Kind of feels like Battleship.
Yeah, maybe chess boxing. Maybe more along the lines of what these teams are doing.
I think we're going to get closer to boxing now that the Baron is live. Of course, both these teams have maximum Barret threat. You have Kalista on one side, you have Blade of the Rune King, as well as double 80 carry on the other side. So the vision has been strong so far from both sides. I'd say a little bit stronger for Team WE. We'll see if it keeps up now that this big purple worm is available.
I think now is a good time to revisit the 0 point. Like, he has had a pretty good game so far, has set up everything for his team. Also hasn't even died yet. 100% kill participation as support when there's been this much action is pretty impressive.
And you know, when Team WE made the changeover to Bin, who unfortunately couldn't be at the event, a lot of us were questioning why. Zero was playing phenomenally well. The team did cite publicly that it was motivation issues. We know that he still works rather intimately with them behind the scenes, so it's not like Zero has just gone away.
Well, that's the caster's curse right there. No more to say about that one.
He definitely went away there.
Yeah, our bad. Sorry, Zero. We'll take that one.
Okay, so Sword Art.
Great player. Fantastic hook so far. Stop the Rift Herald mid lane. May have heard him before.
I don't think it's going to work, Pulse.
No. Oh well, we'll say it again later and see if it rings true. But 21 minutes in now. Mystic just angering the Baron, seeing if anyone's around, but has been control warded from Flash Wolves. People heading up here as well. And right now, it's all about that Baron vision. And funnily enough, having the support go down for WE is probably the worst member at this point in time. Like, they need the person with wards to be warding the area.
And it's also really easy for Rakan to check a dark area like this just because of how mobile he is. You can see that Condi's, trying to peek in, using his Q, using his innate tankiness as Gragas, but giving a lot of respect and a very wide berth to Flash Wolves.
All right, let's go, Konzi. Just wandering around right now, trying to get this shallow vision. If nothing else, they can get vision on their side of the jungle to at least try and contest Flash Wolves. But they are setting this one up, and this is more of what we expected from WE and Flash Wolves around these Baron dances, these prolonged areas of the game is where we expect the most stellar play to come out from these two teams compared to a lot of the other teams in this tournament.
Which means back timers at this point in the game are just so important, and it's pretty much demonstrated here. So Team WE, it took them so long, so much courage to move back into this area to try to place down vision. It allowed Flash Wolves this massive window. They got their back timers. They've refreshed their vision. They've also got inside track on mid, and now Zero.
Oh, well, that's just unlucky. Jumps away from that one, goes back towards Xie, and is alive for this one. But Sword Art is just relentless. He does not stop landing hooks in this game.
Yeah. It's almost like disrespect giving him the Thresh. I can't think of a player that I would least likely want on Thresh.
Oh, we're kicking off another fight. Again, the Death Sentence lands onto Kondi, forces the flash out, but he jumps back in with the cask. Zero jumps over the wall, not sure if that's where he wanted to be. 957 comes in for yet another engage. Feels like WE just reading from the wrong hymn sheet. They all back away together, but that was such a disjointed engage.
And a 4v5 at that. 957 trading a lot of his health bar for very little reason or very little follow-up. And you can see MMD, he was kind of creeping over, looking for the flank, but now Fiora continuing to assault the bottom tower, and Flash Wolves again complete control over the Baron area.
Burn the TP, but now MMD can rotate with relative ease. You can see the bottom side lit up like a Christmas tree. He can go wherever he wants. 957 essentially just locked into that bottom lane now to go with the duel and against MMD. It's
a very easy but very patient game for Flash Wolves. They did force the teleport out of 957. Yeah, they don't have it on MMD, but they will have it back up before 957 has his. So again, window's been created for Flash Wolves about where they need to strike. They just need to follow the blueprint now.
Rare execution mistakes from WE so far in this game, whereas Flash Wolves have made a lot of good plays. We didn't get to see a lot of it against SKT, but we're seeing more of it now against WE. It seems like for now they are starting to outclass WE, if ever so slightly.
And that's the scary thing. You know, Team WE are really struggling across from Flash Wolves as Kondi now caught.
Yeah, so it takes a lot of damage. It's going to be a final Rens and takes him down to half, just barely.
Whereas SKT just rolled Flash Wolves over. And you have to think, if this comes down to a Korean team trying to assist either the LPL or the LMS into that second seed for tomorrow's best of 5, it's KT for Flash Wolves.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, for AHQ, and SKT for Team WE.
Definitely scary for LPL fans at this point in time. Like, Flash Wolves, I mean, this game just means so much for both regions. Heading into tomorrow, having preferential seeding, games 1, 3, and 5 will give you side selection for you.
I do have some good news, Pulse.
What's that?
Xie has finished his Zeal, Infinity Edge, and Trinity Force. So the Corki is definitely going to start packing a punch. And at this point, it just gets worse. Again, my big thing about Corki is he just spikes on pretty much every single item. Ridiculous mid-game spikes, ridiculous late-game scaling. And because of the changes to his damage percentage, it's actually quite hard to find an item that covers both armor and magic resistance. In fact, I feel like the only one in the game left is Gargoyle Stoneplate. Maybe Rot Portal, I'd have to double check.
Ah, yes. Building Rot Portal against Corki doesn't necessarily feel good, though, if that's your item choice.
Gargoyles is in a much better place.
Yeah.
So we've been seeing a lot of that one. But I feel like the changes to GA, you know, moving away from the armor and the MR to the BF sword was also kind of a smaller factor in really bringing him back into the meta and making him shine.
All right, taking up this red buff here for WE, getting the small victories where they can. And again, this is essentially, while we've been all over the map, still a prolonged Baron dance, which has been happening. Both two teams have been trying to get the vision around the area, see if they can get the picks where they can, pushing that mid tower. And that's ultimately what Flash Wolves are able to do, so that has given them more breathing room around the Baron area.
But we said the window that Flash Wolves and the blueprint that they needed to follow was the TP advantage. So now it is back up. MMD has teleport. 957 does not, which is why Team W are like, okay, we got to lock it down. We're going to kick Corki down to the bottom lane. He's going to be the most mobile target. And we're really relying on Jarvan at this point to help us with our 5v5. And I feel like it might be that Xie is the only confident member to stand across from MMD's Fiora at this point.
Pretty much has to be, if you think about it.
But Flash Wolves, they just need to be patient. Draw out this double teleport and use the pressure around the map to secure this Baron objective.
I'm getting nervous when I see Sword Art around all these stray WE members. Though for now, most of them are being protected. 957 walking up, taking away some of these wards, or doesn't feel confident enough to, because again, WE, or rather Flash Wolves mobilize. You've got MMD pushing in the bottom side. She has to be there, since top lane doesn't have TP at this point in time.
And this is actually just a bad back from Team WE. You understand why they need to do it. They need to refresh their ability to place wards, picking up all of those control wards. But Mystic can't be anywhere by himself. Sora is just too threatening on this Thresh, and Flash Wolves have all of the pushes. They get a free tower.
And tower goes down to Flash Wolves. It's just better positioning, better macro we're seeing out from them. WE, this is essentially not what we expect to see from them, especially when they had a pretty strong early game courtesy of Condi. And now they've slowed down significantly. We were just like, okay, great, this is what WE like to do, but they are being run around the map by Flash Wolves.
And frankly, in the LPL, Team WE have never really been challenged in the mid-game. You know, we looked at their style when they decide to play these hyper-scaling composition, and it's like, why doesn't someone just hit them super hard in the early game or super hard in the mid-game? And even though that seems like it would be the LPL's dream come true for how skirmish, how 5v5 heavy they are, they were never able to land that killing blow. Whereas the Flash Wolves have had no problem doing it.
Yeah, most of the LPL teams just get confused against WE. It's like, what are we meant to do? How do we win this game?
Why won't you fight us?
Yeah, you play so weird. But when you put them on the international stage against Flash Wolves, I'm sure this is just home turf for them. I mean, indeed it is. Playing in front of this crowd who's cheering at every single kill they accumulate. And WE put out of their comfort zone. And honestly, I can't put it on Zero. Like before we saw Audi in the top lane, it's like, man, a lot of nerves for them. Zero, he's been to international events before. He's doing very well in this game. It's just something to do with the whole team dynamic that's just not coming together in this game.
This has for sure been a 5v5 where everyone has been participating in how both these leads have been accumulated. But again, the ebb and flow as we're trading our back timers. Vision control for Team WE, vision control for Flash Wolves. The big thing, though, is taking control over this top side of the map. So finally, Maple is up there, and I just wish that someone, either Team WE or Flash Wolves, would just push that as hard as they can.
So if we go later and later into the scale, well, I'm going to hold that for because 957 just jumped onto MMD. He flashes away, so similar advantage. The longer we get into this, okay, I'm just not going to be able to talk, am I? Connie getting chased out here by Sword Art and Betty. He goes back into his jungle, mostly just poking right now.
I have a feeling I get your question, and it's about what composition wins at the 55-minute mark.
Pretty much.
And frankly, yes, there is hyperscaling between Xayah and Corki, but Flash Wolves Comp do have the answers to deny those picks. But here we go.
We're just going in for the engage. Zero comes in, lands the charm onto the front line, but everyone from WE getting annihilated right now. Zero has to back away. Connie dropping low as well. 957 into this one first. He'll match MMD on the backside, but they are getting pinted. Here comes the wall. We need to evacuate on this one. MMD certainly takes a lot of damage. 957 on that front line, but he needs someone to back him up. No one's died yet. Mystic on the front line. Xie backing it off, and Condi comes in around the side, and no one dies.
Oh, that is on a knife's edge right there. And you know that a single team fight like that will decide the game because either team will just rotate immediately into the Baron. But both teleports have been used. Team WE still have their TP on the Corki. But with Maple having his wall up in no time, they can match that pressure in a side lane.
Oh man, the damage juggle off was real there in that team fight. Everyone jumping in. How much extra damage can I go off? Can I kill this guy? But ultimately, they were so evenly matched. And to go back to that previous point on like team comps later into the game, I mean, right now, it's just so even.
I mean, the scary thing, though, is that you do have, you know, 2 immobile 80 carries, but we are going to take a replay look at that team fight. Just ridiculous damage coming out of both sides. I believe the flash was burned from Betty, so they do have that to work with. Good job from Zero, but ultimately no one could get into the back lines. Both teams setting their line of scrimmage beautifully.
Mystic tries his best, though, and that Blade Coil was disgusting. Lands onto 3 players. MMD started to lose the trade as well, 1v1 against the Jarvan. And for a moment, Mystic's the only high health member on WE, and it's like, okay, this is Mystic's time. He's going to go off, but zoned away by Maple, kept him in his place, and ultimately, just no kills.
Also a great wall from Maple to make sure that that, you know, 3-man root caller wasn't able to be followed up. Condi locked out of the fight entirely.
Yeah, that could have been the straight-up wipe, but Flash Wolves have pulled the trigger on Baron right here. Zero's the only one around. It's going down fast.
And you know that since Kalista is on it, there's no chance of a smite steal. You actively just have to kill them and force them off the objective.
Especially when he's had so much time for this Baron, and the smite coming down early. You know it's going to be a massive rank coming out here, and it's just a shot in the dark. It's not going to happen for WE. Flash Wolves take the Baron.
And that is the 2-for-1 special because they also got the tower in the bot lane. Again, there's no teleport on either top laner, so Flash Wolves, knowing that there wasn't going to be a 5v5, just look for the 2-man and use the Talia wall expertly.
Well, stopping MMD from the teleport there. Jarvan was coming down. Even the redemption was used pretty much to stop MMD, so maybe we can get a return kill here before Flash Wolves can mobilize. That being said, Sword Art's coming in. The getaway driver, can it happen? Oh, gets it off! The dog passage is huge from Sword Art.
And again, the crowd behind Flash Wolves. Home turf advantage. Everything is in their control. In the driver's seat. Another tower following the top lane.
Getting 5 stars on that Uber ride for certain. Well played for Sword Art, and he's just always in the right place at the right time.
You know, I called it earlier on in the tournament that this was kind of the $1 million friendship because Maple and Karsa, they are so often sought over. Teams have fought over trying to get these guys out of the LMS and into other regions onto other teams, but they refuse. It's not just that they won't go together, but they demand that they be with Sword Art, that friendship stays strong.
A lot of players will say, sounds kind of cheesy, but I mean, when you see it on the world stage, when people are playing internationally and it's doing things like this, you can no longer say it's cheesy.
If you've ever seen Flash Wolves live, you can hear them over the roar of the crowd. They are one of the loudest teams that I have ever experienced. They are very emotional, very momentum-driven, and it truly is the power of friendship that have kept them at the top for so long.
And ultimately, that will mean more in the long run. It's what keeps teams together, and even in practice, in scrims and solo queue, these players will be together, and building that synergy is just the X factor some other teams can't really accomplish. Right now, that has accumulated into around a 5,000 gold lead, 4-tower advantage.
This is very intelligent, though. So they're trying to catch Team WE rotating up into the top lane to contest Betty's push, but Team WE just smartly saying, probably a trap. We're going to let this one go, because if they're caught there, that would be the game.
Nice lunge there from MMD. Allows him to go back in, but Xie has arrived. In comes the Cataclysm. That would be a very easy kill there for Xie. Top lane now being sieged in. Good wall out from Maple, and the tower will be sieged. Nothing that WE can do. They simply can't cross the line. And
Flash Wolves are totally fine to trade MMD's life for the structure there. He didn't have the Uber ride that time around, but like I said, still fine.
Yeah, he can't be everywhere. And of course, the top lane was the the big objective, and it was a win-win scenario for Flash Wolves regardless. Either they have pressure in 2 lanes, or they still take and break the top tower. So now WE don't really have that inhibitor line complete anymore, but they do still venture outside of the base, not just going to hunker down.
And the only thing that Team WE have really accomplished this game is taking these dragons. So Flash Wolves, they don't break an inhib. Did Betty mean to do that?
I don't know.
Oh, he's farming Krugs, yeah.
All right, fair enough. So yeah, going to allow that one to go over to WE. Ultimately, it is just an ocean dragon. It's nice, but it's not something that's going to break the camel's back.
But it does open the potential to end this game over an Elder. That said, Baron will be spawning before that. So I feel like Team WE, their only win condition at this point is to look towards that 1-game fight, where when WE want to roll the dice, they do like to take this gamble. They do like to assume that they are just better 5v5 team. But so far, they haven't been able to prove that. Yes, Flash Wolves have gotten these incremental advantages off of skirmishes more so than a true 5v5, but they have stood toe-to-toe from Team WE. Think about that big mid-game team fight. WE weren't able to crack them open. They disengaged appropriately.
If we go along at the same pace for us, it just honestly feels like Flash Wolves is going to slowly batter down WE until there's nothing left, and they'll take this game. And Mystic is just randomly in the top side. MMD is going to chase him down, but here comes the TP. The trap was trying to be closed in around him, but there was almost no chance of it ever happening. And also to give up so much pressure bot.
He's definitely still in trouble. Mystic finally being punished for trying to farm.
And this is just going to be it. Featherstorm comes in, and the flash comes out from MMD. They really want this kill. He's trying to turn it around. The flash out of the way as well. Grand challenge issued. But Maple, yes, he was close to dying. It's still just a pick onto Mystic. Everyone else engaging on the bottom side. No 2P was tough. This is the one chance for W to try and find this fight. Teleport coming in. They're on a timer, but that is 1 kill. Zero comes in, gets the taunt up. We're looking at top lane. We're looking at bot lane as Mystic comes in. Falls up with the shear as well. Does get the kill. And 957 falls. It's the triple kill to Betty.
And MMD came in on the backside with the teleport. Didn't have his ultimate, but it didn't matter. Again, Betty is the guy to look for on this Kalista. Time and time again, when he's given the pick, he picks it up. Flash Wolves looking to take another inhib turret.
This one will go down. 36 minutes on the clock, and Condi, there's nothing he can do about this one. He has to go back to base. Top lane being shoved in by Maple, who wasn't even in that fight. That was one for the Flash Wolves. And Condi, maybe he can stop them at the Nexus turrets, but they may just lose triple inhibs here. I'm waiting.
We got
we got it. It's all good. Condi has to try and push them back here, but he hasn't defended the other ones. He's got the rest of the team now coming. Mystic and Zero have respawned from base, but it's actually just going to be the triple inhibs.
And the LPL have now been forced into their Nexus turrets. They have been dismantled this tournament as the Flash Wolves, a clear-cut victory ahead of them. Baron spawning in 130. No inhibs. Super creeps flooding into Team WE's base. It doesn't get easier than this.
We're going to take another look at that last team fight as well. It looked good. I mean, WE had to pull the trigger somewhere, and now it's a chance.
Yeah, but all eyes again on Betty. His ability to disengage to avoid all of the relevant CDs and then turn around, use the power of Kalista to kite through. And of course, Sarda, a really nice hook right there. MMD shows up just in time to add a little bit of extra firepower. But again, it's locking up that Corki and then popping him like a balloon.
Betty is just free-fighting for the entire fight. Like, no one could really touch him. And he's literally standing right next to and in melee range of those big carriers. He just doesn't care. Took them all out. Triple kill to Betty. And with those triple inhibs down, I struggle to see what WE can do from here on out. We're 37 minutes, and usually in a WE game we'll be saying, man, they've just turned on, we're looking for that big team fight. Seems like they've lost too much.
And again, it's the fact that Flash Wolves never gave them that big team fight. That's where the LPL and that's where Team WE like to thrive. It's in those 5v5s, but they haven't gotten one. The closest they got, no one died. Everyone disengaged. It's been these smaller skirmishes, these 4v5s. Flash Wolves have actually just pulled Team WE apart around the map, built on a lot of their superior vision.
11-8 now, and Flash Wolves, they see that second seed for the region on the horizon now, and they're ready to cement it for the LMS. LPL, can they pull it back? It's definitely in WE's hands as they will be going up against SKT later. It's not an easy strength of schedule, but that's what you get for being #1 seed. This is kind of your fault, WE.
Now, naturally, if the LPL fall down here, it's not game over for them. We still have the semifinals tomorrow, but they would be playing at a disadvantage in terms of side selection.
Not really what you want at all when sides do mean an awful lot in this current meta. Sword Art is zoning everybody away along with MMD. In fact, this is just going to be a two-man from Carter and Betty. Just don't really take too much damage. And Betty has that massive rend as well.
And again, it's just been the respect from Flash Wolves. At this point, they have Team WE in the sleeper hold, and they've just slowly been lowering them to the floor, making sure that they're covering all of their bases, but not giving Team WE a miracle opening, and just very clean, methodical close out of this game. Massive
praise to all of LMS, though. The teams have really shone today. The crowd just behind them as well. The momentum that they've had has been absolutely stunning and crazy to see. WE definitely just crumbling underneath that pressure as well. It's a rare sight to see as we see this fight start off. I mean, they have to make something happen, but Zero actually just disappears, and down goes she as well. 957 getting chased out, and MMD running wild in the back lines, places down a riposte. Down goes MMD, and that is good for them, but everyone else explodes from WE. Connie walks back to the spawn pad. All he can do is save his KDA. Both Nexus turrets go down. Nexus set to fall, and Flash Wolves will take the win.
And J-Team set the LMS up, and Flash Wolves spike it down. They have taken their revenge across from Team WE, and they've taken their revenge on the LPL.
And there are those players, Trusk. Larger than life, louder than the audience. And they are ecstatic at that win. The crowd as well, absolutely going mental. Absolutely electric in the arena. Fantastic.
And of course, we're always going to talk about Karsa and Maple. Everything starts with them. He got the Elise, he set the tempo, the pace of the game. It was all about that bottom lane. But I want to talk about Betty. I need to focus on him, giving him that Kalista pick, showing that it is a power champion for him, and then leading the way in those skirmishes, in those 5v5s.
Great performance out of them, and they have pretty much paved the road now for LMS to take that second seed heading into tomorrow. We'll give them side selection on games 1, 3, and 5. And putting them even ahead of the LPL. All right, just need to line up. Strike a pose.
Smile, boys.
Good stuff. And Flash Wolves, honestly fantastic to see from them. It's just a boon for them as a team and also from the region, what they've managed to achieve today.
And it's just a pleasure to watch Flash Wolves play at that elite. You know, we had a lot of questions coming into this tournament. What form would the Flash Wolves actually be in? We haven't seen Karsa and Maple on the roster for a long time. Yeah. They did have a win over J-Team riding into this. We saw how good J-Team looked across from EDG. So, frankly, I'm terrified of the LMS. It was a big question mark what type of form that the region would be in coming into this tournament, and they've shown up.
Absolutely. And that's it from us. We're going to send it back over to the analyst desk to break that one down.
Thank you very much, Pulse. And yeah, Flash Wolves, a dominant performance. Things didn't necessarily start incredibly well. However, that mid-game was all Flash Wolves all the time.
It ended up being the counterpoint, you'd have to say, to what we were expecting. I mentioned previous to the start of this game, I was like, okay, Flash Wolves didn't get to show much against SKT. That was a dominant performance. They got to show a lot more here. And as we get onto the game, things like vision really clean from the Flash Wolves. Playing around a Fiora and her pressure on the map while getting objectives elsewhere really clean from the Flash Wolves. A lot to like from Flash Wolves. They'll end up 1-1, but this was a win to hold your hat on.
Yeah, very strong vision control. Legitimately right out the gate, at least contesting the early blue buff from Gragas. Even warded it out once again 13 minutes into it. So Gragas really had a weak footing in the game.
He did, but it didn't necessarily need to be a Gragas that they picked up either. I mean, if we go back to the draft, we can see it on the bottom of your screen right now. That Rek'Sai just got completely let through the entire draft. One of the first times that we've seen this happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd be looking towards that Rek'Sai pick saying, where is it? But again, WE, they've got the Gragas. I feel like by drafting, they've showed up weaknesses that EDG showed in the last game by giving themselves oodles of crowd control, something that was sorely missing in the previous. So they picked themselves the J4. I like the pick. They picked themselves the Gragas. Still a good performance from Condi. And again, a lot of this comes back to the vision that Papa Smithy was mentioning, the fact that Flash was just controlled everything. The draft wasn't the biggest determining factor this time around.
And my concern, though, is that, okay, they actually do have the Gragas. He has the AoE initiation. What do they lose without the Rek'Sai? Okay, Tremor Sense. It felt like they could do with the budget vision control because they didn't have any vision control. So they went all the way into it. All right, we've got this. We can initiate. And then just never actually could press the go button because they were getting split. There were control wards sticking. Often in this game, there was 4 or 5 control wards down for Flash Wolves and 0 for the side of RNG. We're kind of waiting for, sorry, for WE, we're kind of waiting for them to put down vision even when they had some in their inventory. So playing around your vision has to be the absolute floor when it comes to professional League of Legends, and we didn't see it.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't an issue at the beginning of the game.
No.
Of course, not a whole lot of vision was already available, and that was a time where WE were able to thrive. And honestly, it felt like WE were off to a fantastic start, picking up that first blood on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, that was a really good start. And the thing about that, too, is even though they got the first blood in the bottom side of the map, it was immediately traded. They tried to go towards the top side of the map for a fight, but it was once again traded for a first blood tower. So there were a lot of situations where even though Flash Wolves found themselves just a tiny bit behind, they were always in the game.
Yeah, it was actually kind of hard done by for it to be a 1-for-1 there with the minion aggro being the central factor, but WE were pretty on top of the bot lane to start things off.
Yeah, this is that second big spike for them, right? We saw the 1-for-1 trade. The biggest benefactor is going to be Mystic, as he was the recipient of the kill, so he gets a BF sword. You contrast that to his opponent in Betty. It was just the Vamp Scepter. It was never going to be able to trade there, and they use that spike of the bottom lane. They come back one more time. They've got the double teleport composition, so you'd thought that WE might have been setting themselves up in this game to really succeed through their powerhouse 2v2.
Speaking of powerhouses, Betty, we've been singing his praises throughout this tournament, and man, that Kalista is looking damn good. In fact, Kalista as a pick this tournament has looked so incredibly good.
And look, this has been kind of the LMS come out, show themselves tournament in general. We've sung the praises of J-Team just a couple of games ago. Betty is another one who came in with big expectations at MSI and let himself down. It turned out that he was trying to play the utility carries. That wasn't really working. He jumped on a hyper carry. That wasn't working. This was his first performance on the international stage that he could feel really good about. This was the Betty we heard about in the LMS, that we saw in some VODs, translating that on the Kalista, that now it feels like the meta of this tournament is get crushed by Kalista and then get it yourself. Be like, all right, I'm not dealing with this rubbish. I'm going to have the Kalista. And, well, he took charge, and he took charge in the game.
And week 3 in the LMS coming onwards, Betty started to play incredibly well. And then as his send-off, he had a stellar performance on the Kalista. So for him to get it back on, that's like a really comfortable pick for him, as most AD carries apparently. Then, yeah, he's going to be able to bring that out, and I think this is a great showing.
Yeah, certainly worked well. But WE did have things going well for them at the beginning, like pushing lanes, things like that. WE are going to be playing again today, of course. Seeding has been sorted out. However, if LPL are going to make it into Sunday, into that final, they are going to need to take down SKT, KT, all of these huge names from Korea, and it will be difficult, and they will need to take this loss, move forward, shake it off, and have a great performance.
I mean, we're going to have the replay of the Baron coming up soon, and that's where the vision problems that dogged them in this series are going to be so apparent against a team like SKT. Flash Wolves can walk up here. They've got all the control wards down on the map. Fiora's split pushing in the bot lane. It takes forever for WE to even come close, and this is a Kalista. You're already knowing that in the best case scenario, a steal is going to be unlikely. That sort of a vision drop-off, which wasn't a 1-second point, this happened for a majority of the mid-game, is going to be mercilessly exploited by SKT. So they're going to have to throw out the performance here and really show us something different.
Yeah, and he's going to be picking up the MVP as well. Betty, we were singing his praises before. It makes a heck of a lot of sense. 7, 2, and 4 over to that Kalista. It feels like Kalista's getting MVPs across the board, but Betty did make it look incredibly good. That final team fight where he was just dancing around, getting those Ren sets, just made it look easy.
And very refreshing to see in a team like Flash Wolves, someone else getting an MVP. You've got your Kasi and Maple, Sword Art, the unsung hero of the team. He won't get one, but Betty will get the MVP, and very much deserving in this case.
Yeah, certainly was. Of course, the Thresh out of Sword Art was also fantastic, but that is something that we've come to expect every time we see the Flash Wolves. He's just ridiculous. So, of course, still another key player for this LMS squad. And absolutely fantastic. We are going to go to an MVP interview. Take it away, Wendy.
Hello everyone. Thank you for watching the 2017 Rift Rivals. So we are now interviewing Flash Wolves Sword Art. He is support. So you're saying he's surprised that there's so many people here supporting him. And he's very grateful. So the win was like very relieving for him. So he did think that yesterday he didn't perform that well, so it was very good that he won this time. So today they did fight with some fuel. And what is your secret weapon? So he said that they did practice a lot of champions, and they did pick the good champions. So 100% for his teammate.
想说要该给满分。我觉得他今天的确是表现得很不错，因为风向他也稳得很好。那因为今天看到比赛，其实蛮多次的会战都是在下路发生，你会感觉。
So we did say that a lot of battles came from bot lane.
因为一开始我们在选完角之后，我们就说。 我们这场下路会打得很凶，然后
So at first, when they chose the champion, they did decide that bot lane would be very aggressive.
因为我觉得
And is it because of the composition?
对上对面那两只的时候，我们是前期会有一定的优势。
So he did say that early game he does have the advantage. That's why they're being aggressive.
支援集结非常的快，你们应该有觉得很难打吧？中期的时候。
So in the mid game, the enemy team did have a lot of support.
三角草丛里面九筒跑出来，然后那波觉得还蛮惊讶，因为
So there was once where there was a tri-bush surprise, and he was very surprised.
的确是很难应对，因为中间你们甚至
It was very hard to react.
碰撞完全没有人死掉的那种状态。
So there was a fight where there was no one died in the team fight, and it was an amazing fight.
但是我好像有一个克里斯塔撞没有撞到吧，不然我们应该是可以。
So there was once where the Kalista ult didn't land. However, if it did land, they would have won.
放了一个大绝，然后我看他在跟 Maple 沟通 ，Maple 是想要用。
So there was once where Maple tried to ult, and he was trying to communicate with Maple. So Maple does want to test a lot of special things.
因为他塔利亚没有隔过，然后有一次我选汤肯奇，然后我们在团练，他说我看过一个影片，汤肯奇是可以吞那个预示者。
So there was once where he was playing Tom Kench, and he did see some place where he can eat special things.
所以他刚刚就说：“哎，我来试试看，看可不可以挡住这个预示者。”
他是说，那试试。
So he wanted to try if he can wall off some special things.
哎，回去制定练好不好？不要在周记练。
So interview saying like go home and practice, not at the tournament.
其实在犹豫你还是 Betty， 那最后选择了 Betty， 你请问你的看法是？
So the MVP pick was we were thinking Betty and. So yeah.
但我觉得他还是打得很好啦，就是我很。
So he thinks that Betty did very well. And he does carry very well.
那波的话，就是我们都觉得哇，他那波也太猛了，我们一直狂叫，对。
疯狂大叫。
So they did scream at Betty for being too aggressive.
这场比赛胜利啦，那非常谢谢 Soul Art。
So thank you Soul Art. Congratulations to the win.
Well, really fantastic to hear from Sword Art. That was probably the funniest interview that we've had thus far. But ladies and gentlemen, we've still got 2 more matches to go. KT versus AHQ right after the break.
Comes in with the Cataclysm. That has been riposted out as well, and that will be the kill. But he's locked in the Cataclysm. Manages to jump away with the final lunge. Zero comes in for the initiation, but down goes she immediately. Condi and Mystic doing their best on the backside. But Benny, this is the skirmish he was living for. Jumps over the wall, but that's the blast cone. Jumps away from that one. But Condi moving into the top side. He's out of mana. He's been hooked, and that is a death sentence for the Dragons. We're looking at bot lane as Mystic comes in, falls over the she as well. Just get the kill as 957 falls. It's the triple kill. I mean, they have to make something happen, but Zero actually just disappears, and down goes she as well. 957 getting chased out, and MMD running wild in the back lines, places down a riposte. Down goes MMD, and that is good for them, but everyone else explodes from WE. Connie walks back to the spawn pad. All he can do is save his KDA. Both Nexus turrets go down. Nexus set to fall, and Flash Wolves will take the win.